for a place for all women's sports to be able to watch. And there's TVs everywhere, wall to wall.
That's a customer at Bar of Their Own in Minnesota, a sports bar that, as their Rosie O'Donnell movie sounding title seems to imply, only showcases all women's sports all the time. The first weekend in March marked a Bar of Their Own's grand opening, where some people waited more than an hour to get inside. After all, the place claims it's Minnesota's first sports bar dedicated exclusively to women's sports, where fans of women's sports can enjoy their favorite teams, crucially, with the sound on.
Absolute madness, but in the best way possible.
That's the owner of the place, who, along with these customers who showed up for grand opening weekend, appeared to be pleased to have a new spot to enjoy some of our nation's finest female competitors.
I played hockey for about 12 years, and we had to beg to get ice time.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Now, in case this hasn't been clear thus far, a Bar of Their Own is dedicated to women's sports, but it's intended to be an inclusive, family-friendly place. Their drink list highlights products and brands that are owned, made, or led by women, non-binary, and trans people. And based on this menu, even Mr. Pibb himself seems to feel right at home. According to this 2018 research from Nielsen, 84% of general sports fans are interested in women's sports, and the timing of a Bar of Their Own's opening couldn't have been much better, given Caitlin Clark of the Iowa Hawkeyes just became the NCAA's all-time scoring leader among men's and women's Division I basketball players. Now, even though another Nielsen report from last year found that interest in women's sports is growing at a meteoric pace, something that sounds great for female athletes and terrible for dinosaurs, according to this 2021 study from the journal Communication and Sport, which has tracked men's and women's sports coverage in the media for 3 decades. When it comes to television news and sports highlights, as well as social media content, around 95% of that sports coverage is dedicated to men's sports, and just around 5% is dedicated to women's sports. One of the co-authors even noted that 80% of the news and highlights programs in our study devoted 0 time for women's sports. And on the rare broadcast when a women's sports story does appear, it's usually one and done. They say this survey is conducted every 5 years. So who knows? Maybe by 2026, it'll finally be a 50-50 split between men's and women's sports coverage on TV. Assuming, of course, TV is still a thing, which is very much not guaranteed. But also considering Pew Research says the gender pay gap between men and women has barely budged in 20 years, with women earning around 82 cents a dollar for every dollar earned by men, only a 2-cent increase from 2002, you might not want to place a prop bet on this media coverage evening out in 2 short years. And that actually appears to be in part why this sports bar owner is embarking on this project. As noted on their website, after she and her friends went to watch a women's college softball team play in a national tournament last year at another sports bar, they were dismayed to find that the place's 20-something televisions were instead playing football game reruns and a cornhole tournament. No disrespect, of course, to Kim Dice, Scott Meabley, or anyone else associated with the American Cornhole Association.
I think people have been ready for this and waiting for this for a really long time, and so to have it here and to have folks inside means so much.
This is incredible. I love the atmosphere. I love the fact that we finally have a place like this here in Minnesota.
It's a happy day. It's a real happy day.
A Bar of Their Own, located in Minneapolis, already appears to be a hit with locals who were there for opening weekend, and fans of the place say they hope it's just the kickoff of more establishments fully embracing women's athletics.
Bar of Their Own! Cheers!